How come I have to be a 9-year-old?
You picked it. No one made you.
Welcome everybody to this week's episode of the Extremely Low Budget Podcast. How high is that?
It's high. It's high. Right now, in the comments, take a guess as to which 3 people are sitting in this room.
Hey guys, it's Dalton.
That's right. It's Alex, Derek, and Kyle.
Oh, I thought it was Chris Dalton and Kyle.
Oh, I know.
I thought it was Chris, Dalton, and Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun fact. Chris will not be in any episodes for at least 5 months. So, if you really long to hear Chris's voice, you'll have to rewatch the Venom episode 10 times. And who knows when we'll have Michael back to do this. Dalton, on the other hand, probably will never be in another one of these because his body is currently sitting in a casket next to us. We're recording this at his funeral, actually. If you recall, he died last week. They decided to bury him today, so...
Yeah,
Since
We're
we're
trying
all
to save
here.
some time by doing
Yeah.
it at his funeral.
Yeah.
So we found a back room at the church and recording it there.
Yeah.
So sorry for all this echo and reverb you hear.
I'm sure this
Just
episode
add that
sounds
in.
incredibly different than every other episode.
This week, we are talking about the
M. Night Shyamalan.
trilogy.
That includes Unbreakable, Split, and the recently released, as in just yesterday, Glass. So Kyle will hit us with some good names because he skipped that part a minute ago.
You little bastard.
Is that my name or?
We got Dennis. We got...
Yeah, we're all just different personalities. I get to be... Oh, what's his name? It starts with a W. Wendell. No, not Wendell. You're an idiot.
The kid?
Yeah, the kid.
It's
Hedwig.
Hedwig.
That's
Why
right.
did I think it started with a W?
Probably because there's a W in
The
it.
W is silent, so it's W-H-E-D.
I want to be Hedwig.
All
You
right.
have to talk the whole episode like Hedwig now.
You guys are stupid. I'm going to put my mask back on.
Oh, no.
Etc.
Etc.
Is this better? I got the mask on. I look like a superhero, etc.
You actually do sound a lot like
That's
him.
pretty good.
Can't beat the beef. And then that's all I'll say the whole episode.
And then you also have me and Alex. So
How come I have to be a 9-year-old?
you picked it. No one
Yeah.
made you.
Can I be Hedwig? Why do I have to be Hedwig?
I expected someone else to be like the gay one. Was it gay or was it just a woman? I couldn't tell.
Which one?
Patricia?
The one that was crawling on the floor.
Yeah.
That might have been a
no,
woman.
It is a woman.
Yeah, because he was flirting with the male.
Right,
Actually,
but he has
you know
like
what?
60
Here's
different
the best
identities.
way.
So I
He's
didn't know
got
which ones were
24.
which.
But let's get into Unbreakable.
Yes. Generally considered people's favorite of the trilogy.
Really?
Which is weird because the whole movie's pretty slow,
Yeah.
but also pretty interesting.
I didn't have a problem with it actually.
No, it
The
was
slow pace.
slow, but it
Pace-
was like...
you didn't have a problem with
I
the
didn't have a
pacing?
problem with the pacing.
I mean, I could feel it. I don't know that I was like, oh, this movie sucks. It's so
No,
slow.
I didn't
But
think so.
I could feel the length.
There was no action until like the end, but it was kind of like a origin kind of story.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have a problem with it. It was just that like Split has way more action right off the bat, and then so does Glass. So
Derek, you're gonna have to help me remember what Bruce Willis's character's name is.
David Dunn.
David Dunn. I don't know how you remember that so well. I can never remember his name.
I've known that character's name since before I even saw Split.
I know you have. I still never remember it. Unbreakable is about Bruce Willis, David Dunn.
It's just about Bruce Willis. It's a
about-
documentary.
Yeah.
He's actually real life Unbreakable.
If you see Bruce Willis on the street, don't be afraid to shoot him because he can take it.
Just once though. That's important. This kid was only gonna shoot him once.
You didn't think he was gonna
Oh, yeah.
blast him like 6 times with that revolver?
I feel like I would have shot and it wouldn't have killed him, and I would have been like, "Oh damn! Boom, 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 boom,
Bah,
boom."
bah,
Just-
bah.
and
Probably.
the rest of it.
Shoot him in the arm.
No, you gotta go big to make sure. So shoot him right in the chest.
Go big or go home.
Have
was
him
already home,
Put
but-
the gun in his mouth.
Yeah.
And fire.
Yeah.
What was the last thing that I said about Brian Dunn?
Brian,
Brian
Dunn.
Dunn.
Who is Brian
Who
Dunn?
the hell's
I
Brian?
don't know. What was it? What did I say? What was the last thing I said?
Brian Dunn.
Jesus. We'll just go with Elijah's convinced that David Dunn.
Joseph, that's his son.
That David Dunn is a superhero because he survived that train crash, and he spends a lot of the movie trying to convince him that he is. David doesn't want to believe that he is.
So he tries to convince Elijah that he's not.
Yes. It's also revealed that there was one legitimate accident in his past where David was forced underwater and suffered from pneumonia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he drowns. He like sucks back all the water and drowns, and I think they say he like legally died or something, and the nurse brought him back.
Mm-hmm.
And once he came back to life, he had pneumonia, but after that, he had never been sick again.
And Elijah then determines that that is his invulnerability because all superheroes have some kind of weakness. Therefore, David's is
Water.
water. Kind of the worst part of the movie,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
kind of lame, but
Well, I didn't have a problem with it.
I mean,
I have more of a problem with it in Glass than I have a problem with it in Unbreakable, because in Unbreakable, it's not really a big hindrance for him. He falls into a swimming pool at the ending, but he climbs out of it.
well, he gets helped out of it.
yeah.
But you're right, he gets on it.
Elijah's convinced that he's a superhero, and after David performs some of his own experiments, such as how much can I lift in my basement
I like that.
with
That was
his
cool.
son, he agrees that he is also a superhero.
Yes.
And then he does some superhero stuff. A little bit.
He actually has another power, which is when he touches someone, he can get a glimpse into their life and see if they've done anything bad.
He let a lot of bad people off in that one scene.
Yeah, he did.
That was kind of making me uncomfortable.
In the
fact
first
that-
one, when he goes to the...
Yeah, when he goes to
He's
like
in
the train station.
touching the people, and
Yeah.
I was
lets,
like-
that racist go, and then he
I would
lets
have.
that like rapist go.
That's
picks
where
his
I would
battles.
have probably drawn the line. That's where I would have been like, all right, he's my target. I don't think I would have waited for a murderer. Although I guess it's kind of a good thing that he waited, because the murderer also was a kidnapper.
Yeah,
He does
anyways,
some superheroing of his own.
He finds the murderer, goes and investigates the house, finds the body of the man that he killed, finds that the rest of the family's been tied up,
I
and
believe the wife is dead.
she is. She dies of fatigue, basically.
Yeah. She's tied to the radiator.
And he saves the 2 kids, kills the bad guy, and he's like, boom, I'm a superhero.
Yes. And the 2 kids save him from drowning.
Yes.
Yes.
I
Not
guess
that
it's-
that's super important, but...
I guess it's also worth mentioning that throughout this movie, Dunn's son
Joseph?
Joseph has been.
Convinced that he's a superhero by Elijah.
Yes.
He's convinced that David is.
Right.
Yes.
And he also tests to see if he is.
And he's not.
And he is not.
He's not.
Because he comes home with scratches on his face.
Yes.
Therefore, he is not unbreakable.
But he is very happy when his dad becomes a superhero.
Yes. After he stops the murderer, David goes to say howdy to Elijah and kind of fill him in on what happened, which is where Elijah drops the Shyamalan twist.
And he's like, let's shake hands. I was surprised they had never made contact before that point. But it's alright. He's like, let's shake hands. I thought the thing was going to be he had to take his glove off.
Oh, also,
And that's
earlier
how
in the
it was.
movie, David Dunn works at a ball field
Yes.
as security.
And he takes Elijah.
He touches one guy who is a drug dealer, but he can't prove that he's a drug dealer. But remember that character. That was Shyamalan that he touches there.
Yes.
That was the director of the movie.
Yeah. I was going to say, there's that scene when, Elijah's there at the stadium with him, and then David's like, oh, this guy's got a gun with a silver handle tucked into his back pocket or whatever. And then
there's that painful ass scene.
Oh, yes. Elijah follows the guy to try and figure out if he actually does have a gun, to see if David does have superpowers or not. And as he's like running down the stairs, he misses a step, and it's painful to watch. The whole time I was like, just go slower, just go slower, just go a little bit slower. I knew it was going to happen, but I did not want to watch that. That was painful.
But back at the end of the movie, after David stops that murderer, he touches Elijah and sees that Elijah has been up to no good. And Elijah blew up a tower or something.
Blew up a plane, set fire to a building, and
also
bombed the train.
The cause of the train derailing and killing everybody. And Elijah's been doing this to try and prove that superhumans exist.
Although, his idea is that he's looking for his exact opposite. He's not necessarily looking for just any superhero. He's looking for, if I am ultra breakable, where is the one person out there that is unbreakable? So it's his whole plan. He doesn't care if he can find another superhero. It's his whole thing is that he's looking for his opposite.
Yes.
And the movie just ends.
Yeah, the movie just ends right there.
Pretty much.
You're expecting some big confrontation between the two, but
I wasn't.
Elijah's just like, I am your.
Well, what
your
would the
opposite.
confrontation be? How would you do that? Elijah's so breakable. How would that fight go? It wouldn't.
I don't know. Elijah springs some Lex Luthor trap on Bruce Willis.
Instead they just
Bruce Willis
slap a
his
couple
way out.
sentences on the...
I think that the sentences were a cheap way. I would have shown it. I would have shown him going to the police, and then I would have cut to Elijah in jail or something. Or maybe I would have just cut straight to Elijah in jail. But I wouldn't have had a confrontation on screen between the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of surprising. Like, as soon as you find out that Elijah was the bad guy that, like, caused all those accidents, just two, like, end screen cards come on that are like, Elijah was then sent to a mental institution, and David Dunn left.
Left. Gets away.
Yeah, that's the movie.
Yeah, that's Unbreakable.
Good,
okay.
Real good soundtrack, I thought.
Yeah, it was, yeah, I liked it a lot, too.
Got a lot of good Shyamalan cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was some good shots.
I feel like this movie has that going on way. This movie and Glass both have the same visual style, as opposed to Split. Like, in both of these movies, the camera like does that thing where it's like always one take, but it will pan back and forth from one person to the other, or to like pan to a mirror, and you'll watch the conversation play out there before panning back to the characters.
The mirror thing specifically, I remember in Split.
It is in Split. I remembered it happening way more in
It probably
Unbreakable and Glass, way more than it does.
I
in
think it
Split.
happens way more in those two. I think Glass is more of like Split and Unbreakable kind of just like put together.
Yeah,
I feel like,
which is kind of the purpose.
Yeah, that's
of
kind
it.
of the point. But yeah.
But as far as the cinematography and everything, I feel like it's that way too.
I will say that I feel like each movie. So, like, I get what you're saying in the fact that they both kind of looked the same, but through a cinematography standpoint, I think that, like, tonally and, like, visually, the movies were all kind of unique. The first movie was, like, dark. It was just kind of gray, like, the whole time. It was a very, like, if I defined this movie in one word, it would be, like, minimalist. The soundtrack was there, and it was, like, kind of the ominous sound throughout the movie, but it was also nothing big and grand. There was no big symphony going on in that movie. And all the shots were very simple. The dialogue was quiet, and, like, I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot of dynamics going on in that movie. And then Split, I felt like used I don't want to say brighter tone to it, but it wasn't like kind of the washed gray look that Unbreakable was. It was kind of like a
More orangey.
Yeah, more orangey. And then you get to Glass, and Glass was very kind of color accented. It was like you had rooms that were all pink, whereas the characters were all wearing colors to offset that. And you had that shot in the comic book store where they got the two neon lights. One of them's lighting it all gray and purple. And purple was a very dominant color in the movie. Green and purple, sorry. And like in Elijah's mom's house, all of her windows were purple. So I think that visually they were all kind of unique and different from each other, but through the camera work you could tell that they were all Shyamalan.
I suppose. Yeah. I didn't think that, but
well.
I get the colors, I get that, but I think that Split is filmed way different than the other ones were. It's still got some of that Shyamalan stuff going on.
Yeah, and the majority of it's way different.
Yeah, it's still got quite a bit of that Shyamalan stuff going on, but it's like so much toned down from... You don't see a sequence like the train scene from Unbreakable in Split.
Right.
There's like weird camera tricks he does where he'll like film when all the girls are kidnapped and make it look like they're separated by a big wall that splits them apart. But then as the camera turns, you find out that that was just a patterning on the actual wall itself. He'll do little things like that, but he doesn't do this kind of like conversation back and forth thing that he does in these other movies, I don't think. I can't remember it anyways. And I feel like I was looking for it too, because that's like the one thing that I knew about Unbreakable before I watched it, was that it was filmed that way. And being as that was the last one I watched, I was looking for it in the other two before I got to actually see it in Unbreakable. Anyways, I thought Unbreakable was a good one. I liked it. It's more of a mystery drama than it is anything else. Like, this one's a mystery drama, Split is a horror movie, and then Glass is kind of like a psychological thriller, I guess. It's not really an action movie. It's got 2 action scenes in it, and they're not very action-oriented. But...
yeah. I don't know how I'd define Glass, actually.
I'd probably put it as like a psychological thriller.
See, I would say that Split is like the horror psychological thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
It was kind of Silence of the Lambs to me.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. There's no other way to describe Glass then.
What do you think? Let's see what IMDb.
Who cares what IMDb says? They're wrong. They put Loki in the description of Age of Ultron.
They say drama, mystery, sci-fi, thriller.
See,
Drama, mysteries.
thriller is in there, so never mind. I changed my mind there.
Well, yeah, I mean that's pretty much Unbreakable, though, right? I don't have anything else.
What's
Anything
the mystery?
What's
What's the mystery in Glass?
All of it?
There's like no mystery in Glass. Alright, anyway, we'll get to it, I guess.
Anything specific?
You don't know it's mystery until the reveal.
The mystery.
That's the mystery.
What makes it a mystery is the mystery.
Anything that doesn't work in Unbreakable?
Mm-hmm.
No, I guess the ending. I would have had one additional scene of Elijah going to jail, but
could have been like 2 minutes long.
Yeah. Other than that, I think it worked really well.
I don't want to say the pacing didn't work, but it was just slow. But because like you kind of want more action, but you don't really need it because it was still.
That's not really the point either.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's why it was still interesting to watch because you get to see David come to terms, and you get to learn like, oh wait, he wasn't actually injured in that car accident. He lied because he wanted to end his football career to stay with his wife. So.
Yeah,
it's like stuff like that.
It's like it's a very character-driven movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and honestly, I wasn't prepared for that. I was ready for an action movie, and
yeah, I was too. But then I wasn't disappointed because it was still
I wasn't
good.
Either.
Yeah,
I think, but at the end of it, I was left like, it just defied my expectations, I guess.
Yeah.
So as soon as the movie was over, it just kind of like sat with me, and I was like, got to kind of like analyze what I just watched, and.
I didn't.
Yeah, I think I like it though.
I didn't expect.
I know I like it.
I didn't expect a single action scene in the movie. I was surprised when he went down to the killer's house. or to the house the killer was staying in and fought the killer. I was surprised when that happened because you can't do a fight between an unbreakable character and someone whose bones are made of glass. So
right.
I did not expect there to be a single action scene in the whole movie.
I will say that scene where he went to stop the killer, that was probably my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That was, yeah. It's kind of sick to think about, but I always like when movies are kind of grounded in reality, and it's like that could actually happen, which is a sad thought that could actually happen. That's a very possible thing, that some guy breaks into a house and kills and kidnaps the family.
We know you don't like it that.
Yeah, but it makes it more interesting that you can see something like that. So, as sad as it is, I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, even though it wasn't like one scene, I really liked when they revealed that he lied about the car accident, because I was like, oh, that's how like Elijah figures out that he was kind of lying. He's like, no, you didn't actually get hurt, I don't think.
Yeah.
You just faked it. And then,
slap that bad boy on the piddle meter.
Like piddled?
I guess I did too.
Just piddled?
Yeah, just a normal piddle.
Yeah, I'll concur. Normal piddle for me as well.
All normal.
Thinking about ratings, you want to know something funny?
What's that?
As of last night when I looked, Unbreakable, Split, and Glass all had a 7.3 on IMDb.
A 7.3?
All three of them.
I feel like that should be higher.
But when I checked today,
Glass a bit lower?
I think Glass dropped by 0.1, so it's
Really?
now 7.2.
I don't see why that would.
But the other two are both still at 7.3.
Yep.
Now on to Split.
Now on Split.
Split.
Okay, so this is how the movie goes, so that we're not so disorganized this time.
I didn't feel like we were that disorganized last time.
Yeah, I
Said a
kind of
couple
jumped
things
around.
out of order.
Here's how the movie goes. I won't give like an in-depth plot. We got our character is Dennis, but we don't find out it's Dennis until later. We think it's Barry. We don't actually know who it is. We got James, as Dalton would say, McAvoy, shows up and sits in a car basically with three girls who are trying to get a ride home from their dad. The dad is not there for some reason. He sprays all of them in the face with some weird spray, knocks them all out. They all wake up kidnapped. And that's pretty much the setup, and that's kind of where you spend the rest of the movie. All three of these girls are stuck kidnapped. You've got this guy who turns out to have multiple personality disorder. They have some other name for it. DID. It's multiple personality disorder, where he's got like all these different personalities living inside of the one head, and they all cycle through one another. And like certain ones will have different problems, physical and mental, than others. One of them's like a 9-year-old. One of them's a diabetic. One of them's a germaphobe. As we find out, Hedwig, the kid, he has kind of a superpower, and that is that he gets to pick who's in the light when, it seems. He gets to pick when he is in the light, for sure, 100%. So anytime Kevin, the actual personality, takes over, he can switch it back so that he's in the light.
And then he can give it away to like Dennis and Patricia.
Right, yeah. Like he can give up his turn.
Did we explain like what the light is?
The light is whoever's outside.
So basically all like what 23, 24 of them are in a room, and
the way they describe it.
Yeah, and then whoever holds the light or whatever is the one that he takes the personality of. Yeah.
And they can all like keep secrets from each other. They all have like different knowledge than the other ones. And that's kind of our setup. So I'll just call him Kevin to be simple.
So you have two groups within this person. You have 21 of the personalities that are like good, and then you have.
Well, we don't know for sure. As we learn
in this movie.
I mean, I guess we don't know that for sure. We only know that Barry and Kevin do not approve of what the other ones do. That's all we know for sure.
No, there's a lot more.
Some of them he doesn't really say that they have a side. They seem kind of neutral.
I think it's like kind of like a 12 and 12 deal or something. I don't know.
That's not the way they make it seem in the movie.
Mm-hmm. I feel like
in the movie it seems like, because Hedwig only ever talks about Patricia and Dennis
because they're in charge.
Yes, the two of them.
And as we learn in Glass, almost all of the personalities agree with the Beast.
But that's after the events of Split. That's because the Beast is shown in Split, and then
it
makes all of the rest of them realize that the Beast exists.
Yeah, because they didn't think the Beast existed.
I still feel like...
That's why in Split, Hedwig only allows 2 personalities to come out. He only allows Dennis and Patricia
are the only 2 that...
Hedwig gives the light to.
Yeah. And
the rest of them are forced out at the end.
Well, we know Barry gets out every time that Dennis falls asleep. That's when Barry comes out.
Dennis or other personalities.
And then
that don't like what the quote horde is doing.
So the whole movie, when the 3 girls are being held captive, all you see is Dennis and Patricia and Hedwig.
I think we do see...
But, I mean...
Well, for most of the movie. At the end, you see a couple others.
Yes, but then at the end, when you see... I think you see Barry when the one girl is, like, getting out, and he's, like, trying to help her to get out because he knows he did something wrong. I think that's when you first see the Beast. And then she says Kevin's name, and that's how. Then he's like, "Oh, what'd I do?" and all that stuff. But I think Dennis, Patricia, and Hedwig are the only ones that want to keep them captive because they're the only ones that believe in the Beast.
Yes.
Okay. Well, here's how it goes, right? The 3 are kidnapped. The movie's basically about them trying to escape. Meanwhile, you got this guy with the ID who's like going to therapy sessions and basically trying to like make a cover-up story so that no one knows that he's the kidnapper. That's kind of it. At the end of the movie, it turns out that there's there's 23 identities that he has, and then
there's a possible 24th.
There's a possible 24th that Dennis says he met at a train yard. And then the therapist is like, "Oh, is that the same train yard where your dad left you?" And that blew my mind in the next movie. But in this movie anyways, like, "Oh, is that where your dad left you or whatever?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's where my dad left me, and that's where the Beast was born." Now we got this whole setup. And then the Beast comes out in the final bit of the movie, and it's basically like a bit more muscular James McAvoy that can climb on walls and can also be shot by guns.
He's like a superhuman.
Yeah.
But the reason the 3 girls were kidnapped was because they were impure.
And he's going to eat them.
And he's going to eat them so that he can sustain himself for longer.
The Beast has to eat unpure young women.
Yes.
But then he eats a dude in the next movie, but it's fine.
He was starving.
I guess.
Maybe he was just like all roided out, you know.
At the end of the movie, the Beast kills the 2 of the girls and is chasing after the other one. She stops him by saying,
"Kevin Wendell Crumb."
Kevin Wendell Crumb, which is the actual body owner.
And he switches back and he's like,
he
"Hey, I got a
comes
shotgun. Kill me, please." But he doesn't get the chance to because the Beast is back.
Well,
It's like Dennis is there first, but
yeah, Dennis, and then you also meet like the movie critic, or
the
history teacher.
Yeah,
you
that's
meet
right.
The history teacher, and then the Beast takes over again.
Mm-hmm.
You also see video of a couple of the other personalities. You see
the diabetic one.
Yeah,
and a
you see
couple others.
the diabetic woman, and you see Barry, who's like a gay fashion person.
Mm-hmm.
Barry wasn't OCD. That was Dennis.
That was Dennis. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Dennis
I thought maybe
because Dennis,
were, but...
every time there was like, their clothes were dirty, he made them take it off.
And remember, that's how the therapist finds out that she's not talking to Barry, she's talking to Dennis, is because he keeps adjusting like the bowl of M&Ms.
Right. Yeah.
Which I thought that was cool that he was like using that,
trying to cover it up.
Yeah, and poses a different identity.
Yeah.
That was cool. I like that. And then I like how she deducted the fact that she wasn't talking to Barry because she was like, "You emailed me. You're always protective of your drawings, and you have OCD, whatever." So yeah, I thought that was cool. Anyway.
The Beast chases the girl again, and he kind of corners her.
In like a cage.
Yeah, in a cage, and he like pries 2 like steel bars apart with his bare hands.
She shoots him twice.
Yeah, she shoots him with a shotgun twice, and he just walks it off. And then he gets close to her and sees that she's got scars all over her and realizes that she's been abused and determines that because she suffered, she is pure and does not eat her. He runs off.
Yeah, because basically his backstory is that Kevin's mom abused Kevin and Kevin's dad disappeared, and so Kevin was basically left getting beaten by his mom, and the girl is beaten by her uncle. He does some other stuff to her. Well, he has to beat her because she has scars. It's not like you can get that from the other way. I think he physically abuses her in multiple different ways.
Yes. Yeah. We don't have to get into too specifics.
And the Beast is like, all right, cool, and leaves her, and then she gets out the next day by like some dude from the zoo who lets her out, because apparently the whole time it's been under a zoo. And then the Beast is gone out there in the world somewhere, or I guess the Horde, I guess is what they're called, is gone out there in the world somewhere talking to one another, and that's like the only mirror scene in the movie, though. Like,
it is.
That's the only scene that I can think of that uses that like really uses that Shyamalan cinematography style, where it like goes back and forth between him talking to himself in the mirror.
Yeah, I don't believe there's any other ones. I just remember that specific one.
Yeah, and then it all ends with like a news report being like, this horde, as it's being described, killed 2-3 people in the underground of a zoo. And this girl's like, hey, that reminds me of that other killer that was local to Philadelphia. What was his name? And then David Dunn's there in the diner like, Mr. Glass. And then he gets up and walks out.
That was the Shyamalan twist of the movie, was that they take place in the same universe.
Yeah.
Both of these Shyamalan twists had been lost on me because you'd seen the trailers to Glass. You knew that, first off, Unbreakable and Split were connected, and you also knew that Glass was
I knew
a bad
that
guy.
before, but...
So, well, yeah, I did too, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I didn't get them in the movie.
The rest of the world, I'm sure, if you hadn't seen the two, you probably could have pieced it together. Hopefully.
Yeah, but the twist in all 3 of these movies wasn't that big of a twist.
I feel like
there's
the one in Glass.
There's
multiple ones in
there's
Glass.
Some big twists in Glass, but the final ending twist is not big at all. I don't think. I didn't think. I thought it was pretty predictable.
Glass, I think, has kind of 3 big twists in it.
Yeah.
One of which I was like, damn.
Yeah.
And then the other 2, I was like, well, the second one I was like, I don't like this. And then the third one, I was like, yep, knew that happened. So stay tuned to figure out what those are.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert for Glass.
Yeah, well, spoiler alert for all 3 movies.
Well, yeah, but I guess Split came out last year. But
yeah, you've only had 20 years to watch Unbreakable.
And about a year or 2 years, I guess, to watch Split.
Yeah.
Came out 2 years ago.
I guess what worked, what didn't about Split.
I thought it was a pretty intense movie, and actually I don't think anything didn't work, because I could just list off like I thought the tone was good, and I thought the actors did good, but like I didn't think. To sum it up quickly, it worked.
Yeah. I would say that as far as psychological thrillers go, Split might be like my number 1.
I would disagree. I think Silence of the Lambs is more. Is
really?
better. Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs isn't even like my favorite of that series, though.
That's the only one that I've seen, other than Red Dragon. But whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's probably where I would put it. It's like my favorite. James McAvoy, Jesus Christ, what an actor! I thought he did such a good job.
Yeah, I remember that part when Apocalypse made him bald.
Shut up.
That was weird.
I mean, think about being that actor. Like, you have to be really confident that you can pull off like 7 different roles in the same movie.
And he does them well.
Really
and
well.
see, the thing is, you don't have to portray a perfect, like, woman.
Right.
Because it's just, like, his personality.
Right.
But he still does a pretty damn good job.
I mean, he does so well to the fact where you don't even have to see him dressed up in anything. Just the way he acts, you like, oh, I know exactly what personality he's being right now. Which is,
and flipping between
pretty
personalities
phenomenal.
in the same scene.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's...
He's very good with voices, too.
Yeah. Also, you have to think about
The fact that he's like British real life, huh? Right? Isn't he?
I was gonna say when he's portraying Dennis that's trying to act like Barry, like that's got to be so hard to do.
Right.
Like you have to play a character playing a different character.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm sure they wrote in the OCD stuff, so whatever. But
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like I'm sure it could have been more difficult. They could have made it more difficult for him, but still, I mean, crazy.
Really good. I'm drowning in a pool of urine is what I'm doing.
Drowning?
Drowning.
I'll say I peed.
You peed. You pottied the pool. Alex, what'd you do?
Up to my hips.
Up to your hips.
Yeah. So varying levels.
Okay.
What?
Urine flowed for all of us in varying levels.
Yes.
Yes.
Now on to the new one.
On to
Glass.
So the trailers, I thought the timeline was going to be different.
Oh, me too.
Way different.
I could lay out exactly how I thought the movie played out based off the trailers. I thought it was going to open with David Dunn getting arrested or something.
Yep.
He goes to the institution. You spend the entire movie in the institution. Glass breaks. He breaks himself as well as Kevin, I guess I'll just call him.
Yeah.
Breaks them out. Then Kevin goes, kidnaps a group of girls, ties them up. David breaks his way out, shows up, saves the girls. The movie ends
Exactly
with
the way
him
I
beating up
Yeah,
the beast.
a big fight.
That is
Exactly
not what happened. I thought, okay,
At
so I
all.
thought here's how, because I did see the trailers. I thought David was gonna break out sooner, and then he was gonna catch Glass and Kevin leaving. There was gonna be a minor scuffle with the beast. I thought he was gonna get locked inside of that crate where someone bends the bar so that they can't get out. I thought that was gonna be him inside. Then
The beast inside?
I thought that was going to be the beast locking David Dunn inside. Okay. Then the beast kidnaps the girls. Then David breaks out again, and he goes and fights the beast. And then the movie's over with a big victory. Not at all the timeline.
No.
Starts out with the girls being captured.
Is that also what you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be, well, almost exactly like that.
Yeah.
I didn't think about the whole, bar bending thing. But I thought it was going to start in the Institute. They were going to break out, big fight, kind of just normal.
Like a normal
Generic,
action movie,
yeah.
Where they have a mid-battle, at the halfway point.
Yeah,
a big
David loses, but then he breaks out,
Yep.
he's stronger, and
I
comes
didn't picture
back.
that. I just thought that sequence where the beast is running across the lawn, I thought that was just part of the breakout.
Yeah, me
No,
too.
because I knew it wasn't going to be because you saw both of them in the shot.
Again, I don't pay that much attention to trailers.
Yeah.
So.
I thought it was just gonna be him escaping, and that was part of the breakout. I didn't see any other.
I was
characters.
waiting the whole time during that fight in the institution for the beast to throw David into that crate and lock him in there. But then when it happens differently, I was like, how did I not notice that it was not a shirtless dude in the trailer?
I don't know.
Anyways, spoiler warning for the movie.
Yeah, I think we mentioned.
Yeah, we did say that.
But yeah, no, it starts off with the cheerleaders all tied up.
Yep.
And so
Actually, it starts a little bit before that, where
you're right.
We get to see, and I really liked that. We get to see David and his son have their own little superhero business going on.
Mm-hmm.
They're like a security company now. He no longer works at the stadium, but he's a small time superhero now. This is where we skipped it in the last one. In the last movie, M. Night Shyamalan shows up at the zoo, and he's like a technician helping out the therapist or whatever. Or no, he doesn't show up at the zoo. He shows up at our office and starts helping her out. In this movie, he shows up at David Dunn's security place and is like, I'm here to get a new camera because I don't feel safe in this neighborhood anymore. I'm the same guy from all three movies.
Yeah.
That's the Shyamalan twist, was that he was the same character in all three.
And then he recognizes David because he worked there, and he's like, yeah, I used to hang out with
A bad crowd.
bad crowd, yeah.
Yep.
So it's all.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
I did think that was
good
cool.
they added
I
that.
thought it was funny.
Yeah.
So David's doing his small-time superhero thing. I thought that kid with the Superman punch was going to wind up being a hero that we learned about. but we don't.
Yeah, it didn't
That was
seem much
nasty.
Like a
that
superhero.
punch at the beginning.
I thought that
The
was going to be a
flying
superpower,
punch.
was that he could, like, one-shot people and knock them out in
That's
one
a
hit.
shitty superpower.
That'd be an awesome...
Everybody
One
can do
Punch
that.
Man, I'm pretty sure he exists already.
Yeah, but it's dumb.
That'd be
No,
cool.
I'm not
superpower.
saying I've ever seen it.
I haven't either.
I just know it's on Netflix.
But I did think that was going to be a superpower. Anyways, there's, like, these hoodlum kids that David goes and breaks into their house and beats up.
Yeah.
Because they're, like, beating up people in the street.
Throws the kid across the damn room.
Yeah. And then you find out that, like, Philadelphia has dubbed him the Overseer, and he's like a superhero, but the police are looking for him. And so the son is like, hey, let's not do the superhero thing for a couple days. Let's give it a rest so that you don't get caught. And it's the same actor who played the kid in the first movie.
I thought that was cool too.
That was cool. You can recognize him because he has black eyes that look soulless, unless you're at an intense close-up.
About the most blue eyes I've ever seen.
Whenever it's a very intense close-up, you can see that he has blue eyes, but, like, anytime you're not in a close-up, it looks like he has a doll's eyes.
I think you're forgetting about Elijah Wood's beautiful blue eyes.
Elijah Woods? I did forget about that.
He's got the best. Did you know they didn't even they
know.
didn't even edit his eyes in like the Lord of the Rings? It's all natural. That's how blue his eyes are.
I didn't
I
know
can't
that.
picture
Yeah,
it. I can just picture this kid's eyes because they're very blue.
they looked so black to me. David Dunn.
Shit.
David Dunn is like, it's alright, we got 3 kidnapped girls, and they are tracking the beast. They know of him. They know what the Horde is. Well, they don't really know what it is, but they know it's out there. So they're, like, triangulating where he is, and they figure out that he's not actually in the triangulated points for the feeding ground. Apparently, not only did he kidnap the girls at the zoo, but he had another set of girls kidnapped that he killed and ate shortly after the events of Split. And
Does this
then...
only take place like 3 weeks later?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they've got a third set of girls who are the current missing girls.
Yeah.
No, they're not. No, they're not, actually. So I think he did have a third set that he killed, because how else would they have triangulated the location of the third set of girls?
Right, because they didn't know.
So there
no,
is...
from where they go missing. They don't know where they're being held.
No, because he does point out, this is the zoo where the first girls turned up, this is where the second girls turned up, and then he points to the third one. He's like, I don't think he's actually inside of this triangulated feeding ground.
I don't remember exactly, because I feel like I remembered him saying that this is where they were taken from, but I can't remember now.
But I kind of remember that too, but I definitely remember one of the points on there was this is the zoo where the girls first turned up.
I can't remember. Alright.
But anyways, so they're like, he's probably in the factories right next to the triangle. And so David's like, oh, I'm going to take a walk through the factory, see what I can find. He takes a walk. He bumps into Hedwig, who's dancing along, listening to whatever music it was, Drake or something. Yeah. He bumps into Hedwig, and then, because he has that superpower where he touches people and can flash into their minds, he flashes to, like, Hedwig's got the girls all chained up, and he's like, on roller skates or whatever, like, I'm gonna feed you to the beast, and he's like, but actually I'm gonna go change, because I feel like I'll get in trouble from Dennis and them if they find out that
Patricia will yell at me.
Yeah.
If she takes over and sees that she's.
I
got
thought
roller
he
skates on.
said
I think
that
he's
the
the
beast
beast.
takes
He's
over,
like,
yeah.
I'll get yelled at if they find out that the beast showed up with roller skates on.
Yeah, something like that.
So he goes into like a sewer so that he can change into the beast. Meanwhile, David.
Did he eat those homeless people?
I don't think so.
I think he ate those homeless people.
I don't think he does. They seem like they've suffered enough.
Yeah, they're probably pure.
So David's like, oh, I touched him and I saw he was in a room with a whole bunch of bricks, which will be important later on.
Yeah.
He's like, I touched him and he was in a room with a whole bunch of bricks. And then the son's like, oh, I got a brick factory nearby, because the son can talk to him through the poncho, because that's like Oracle from Batman kind of thing.
He
No,
has
he
a
has
headphone that he wears.
Why did she say that it was through the poncho? The girl says that. The American Horror Story girl says that.
I think he has a microphone attached to his poncho.
Either way, he can talk to him through...
Which is, okay, but it's weird though, because he's got like a wireless set of earbuds, and that's like how he was doing it.
That's how he was listening to him.
Yeah, but I mean, I think
Maybe
it
there's
also
a
had a mic
microphone
like
in the
on
poncho.
the... it's not like super important, but I think she does say that he had a mic attached to his poncho, and then he listens to him through the earbuds.
AirPods meme.
I don't think he had AirPods.
It wasn't
think...
AirPods. They were
AirPods.
like wired wireless.
Yeah. Okay, so then David shows up. He frees the girls by using a crowbar or whatever and breaking the bar they're all stuck on. And then the Beast shows up, and they get into their little scuffle. And in the process, the Beast throws a table at this girl and just hits her with the table.
Snaps her neck.
She doesn't die.
No,
she gets very injured from it, though.
I've just thought of something.
Okay.
That doesn't relate to this part, but it did happen earlier.
Okay.
Right.
When he's beating up the Superman kid, the Superman kid says, "I'm gonna Salt Bay your ass."
Okay.
He threw in the Salt Bay meme. Do you think that they used that meme that's so old to set the time frame that this was like 2 years ago still?
No, probably out of touch.
Just because that's what I was thinking when it happened in the movie. I was like, why are they doing a Salt Bay meme? That's so dead now. But now that I think about it, and the movie takes place like 2 years ago,
it could be.
I'm like, maybe they're doing that.
Drake was also very big in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was a lot bigger in 2017.
I don't know who Salt Bay is.
Still like that meme.
I don't know. I don't even get the origin, but
It's literally just a video of a guy salting meat, and he just picks the salt up and like sprinkles it on like that.
yeah.
Became a Fortnite dance.
Oh yeah, it did.
I have it.
I know. All right, when you did the motion, I know what the meme is, but I didn't know it was called Salt Bay.
Yeah, that guy is Salt Bay. So that's what they were saying. Is he was like, "I'm gonna Salt Bay your ass," and I was like, "What does that even mean?"
That was kind of funny though. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyways, throws the table at the girl.
Throws the table at the girl. This is my problem with the movie. This is my biggest problem with the movie. Is the action scenes aren't very cool because it's basically just the Beast running up and hugging people, and I don't like the. It's all right. I don't like the POV shots. I don't need them. I don't need them in a fight scene. They make the fight uninteresting.
Yes, I don't know. I thought that I didn't have.
That's my biggest problem with the whole movie.
I didn't go into Glass going, I'm so excited to watch this action movie. So
yeah, but when there's an action scene, I think they ruined it with the camera movements. I think it would have been a whole lot cooler if they didn't do that. They could have even had the fights in the background, and I would have liked it more. As I did when they fight at the end of the movie, and it's most of the time in the background. I thought it was better than whenever you see the Beast just hugging David Dunn. It's the weird POV shots they do, where it's like you see his arms. You're like the perspective of his arms or whatever. I don't like it. Yeah. It very much bothered me.
I didn't have an issue.
But other than that, the Beast just tries to like break David because that's how he killed the girl in Split. That he kills a girl by like squeezing her to death. And as we'll find out at the end of the movie, it's like his method of choice when killing people. But the Beast tries to break the Unbreakable, and David walks himself out of a window on like the third story of the brick factory and falls to the ground. They both get up, and lights shine on and flicker in the Beast's face, turning him back into like Dennis or something. And then
I think it was either Barry or Kevin, because I remember he was like,
it couldn't have been Kevin. So it was probably Barry.
Yeah, it was one of the good guys for sure, because he was like, I think it was Kevin, because he says something, he's like, I don't know how I got here, please don't hurt me, this wasn't like me, this wasn't me. And
I think it could be Barry, but
yeah.
It was one of the good ones.
That doesn't sound like something Barry would say.
Yeah,
Barry explains what's going on.
I don't think it would have been Kevin
more
because
goes into like, though, what's happening to me? I don't recognize where I am.
Well, no, because he doesn't. Every other time he comes out this movie, he doesn't go, where am I?
But
he only did that in Split when he was like, where am I? In the rest of this movie, he doesn't do that once when he comes out. He's not even surprised that he teleports locations and is still talking to the same girl from Split. He's like, oh, it's you again. He's much more calm about it. He's like, I'd just like to go.
No, because there's the part where he's being interrogated in the chair and they bring Kevin out and he goes, what's happening? Where did that girl go?
Well, I guess that time. I don't know.
I don't think
it was Kevin. It doesn't matter. But they flicker into some alternate personality that's not Kevin or the Beast. And they catch David and they're like, you can get out of here. We know you can, but you're going to hurt innocent officers in the process. Which, if I were David, I would have gone, alright, so she knows I'm a superhero. Like, I would... This is a twist that'll come at the end of the movie. Sorry, I'm spoiling it now. But she does know that he's a superhero. Yeah. And she's trying to convince him the whole movie that he isn't. Right here, I would have been like, well, she just admitted it. She knows. Because she's like, you can get out of here. There's guards with guns, and you will still get out. But you will hurt the guards with guns. Do you really want to hurt them? But anyways, they all wind up in like an institution where they're going to spend the rest of the movie. They're going to spend the rest of the movie there.
Yep.
What next?
The cells are equipped with their quote weaknesses.
Yeah,
so
like glasses is that he's in a wheelchair, so that his he doesn't actually have anything to restrain him.
He's being heavily sedated was his. They were giving him an unhealthy amount of pills.
Yeah, but as we find out,
he's not taking.
He has not taken them.
And then Split, Kevin, Barry, whoever you want to call him.
Just Kevin.
He's got these like strobe, like massive lights that will force a new personality to take over every time he gets too close to the door.
Well, they don't force a new personality to take over. I guess they do, but then there's that one scene when Hedwig is like repeatedly running at it.
Because he keeps getting close to the door.
Right, and every time he jumps,
it.
it flickers in his eyes and he doesn't make it. But does a new personality take over?
It does, but then Kevin takes back over.
Oh, because that's his power. All right, that works.
Kevin, yeah,
that makes sense.
Hedwig takes back over, and then every time you see him running towards the
right, because that's where we meet a whole bunch of the different ones. All right.
And then
that's all right.
Brian. Jesus.
Brian
Why do
Dunn.
I keep saying Brian? I must like know a person named Brian Dunn, or I've heard that name before.
It does sound familiar.
Well, if it is someone
now I
you
can't
know,
think of his name.
If it is someone you know, you should probably cut it out.
Well, I don't think it was personal.
Yeah, I don't know. Brian Dunn. The name just sounds familiar.
Oh, yes, the American businessman who was the chief executive officer of Best Buy.
That's him.
Brian Dunn.
We're going to want to cut it out because we don't want people to know that we have ties to Best Buy.
They're secretly sponsoring us.
Secretly
Thank you, Best Buy.
They're paying us money to not talk about them.
Yeah.
Please don't. It hurts our business. Please don't talk about Brian Dunn.
Man, I wish we could have a podcast so vulgar companies would pay us not to say their name. Anyways,
David Dunn, his
David
room
Dunn.
is equipped with like a massive shower system, basically.
Yeah.
So if he tries to break the door, it will just blast him with water.
Yes.
A lot happens. The son tries to get David out of there. It doesn't work. The girl from Split, Casey, shows back up and she talks to Kevin a little bit, and she's.
So, that character will take a little bit of explanation as to why she shows up. I didn't really understand at first, but she shows back up to fight for the Horde and everyone living inside of Kevin because the experience that she had gave her enough like inner strength to tell the police what her uncle was doing to her so that they'd arrest him. And
right.
So
well,
she wasn't
positive experience. She wasn't going in there to advocate like we need this guy back on the streets. She was going in there to be like we don't treat him the way that you're treating him. That was basically what her deal was. She wasn't like free the killer because she doesn't like that he kills.
Yeah, but she also.
She was trying to advocate for the other personalities. Like we need to find a better way to deal with this.
Yeah, because he's a good guy, which we understand, we get a sense of, but he's got the bad personalities in him.
Yeah, I know, but at the end of the movie there's still that part where it's showing like Dunn's son has a flashback to a moment of him and his dad, and it's like the loving moments, and then when it gets to her it flashes back to when the Horde's like you've suffered, you are pure, and that was like the moment in her that gave it, like each character gave their B character some kind of extra strength, and that was the moment that it showed for her.
Well, yeah, I think she wants Kevin to be able to be free, but she doesn't necessarily want the Beast to be like out on the street. So she's fighting for him. Yeah, she's fighting for him to be free because he is really a good guy. But
I still don't think she was only fighting for Kevin. I think that she was fighting for all of them, including the Beast.
I don't think she was fighting for the Beast because at the end of the movie she very knowingly turns him back from the Beast, making him vulnerable.
Yeah, I know, but that was just to like calm him down. I don't know.
all right, so then they're all locked in there. It takes a long time for Glass to actually reveal that he's not in this like sedated state. Basically, the whole, and I've heard other people break it down like this. The first little bit up until they're kidnapped is David Dunn's movie, sure, and yeah, it is, but I wouldn't consider that like a movie. That's like what 5-10 minutes, 15 minutes at most. Then it's basically I guess Hedwig is really the personality that we see the most of in this movie. It's kind of Hedwig's movie for the rest of it.
Yeah, because he's got the power to take the light, basically.
Yeah, up until Glass finally does his thing towards the end of the movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's Hedwig's movie though. I think that it's like the Beast.
Well, obviously, but Hedwig's the one we see the most of.
I don't know that we see the most of Hedwig. I think that the Beast.
I know for a fact we see the most of Hedwig.
How?
Because he's the one who's on screen the most.
Not really.
He's in the light the most. The Beast is there at the end of the movie only. But Beast shows up after Glass shows up. It was Kevin's movie up until towards the end when Glass finally starts doing stuff. There's one scene right before Glass starts doing his thing where American Horror Story takes all three of our characters into a pink room, and then she's like, it's my time for my final evaluation with you three. And she basically tricks Dennis, who's the personality that's out in that scene. She tricks Dennis, and she tricks David.
Trisha was the one that was out.
No, it wasn't. It was Dennis, because Dennis is the one who cries later on.
Wait, what? When is this?
It's
the pink
when
room.
They're doing the interrogation. Patricia, like in the pink room, when each one of them is individually being told.
It's
why they're
Dennis
not
because
You
here's
see
how
Dennis
it
and
goes.
Patricia.
It's definitely Dennis is the one who gets mentally broken down.
He switches sides, sure, but Patricia doubts the Beast at that point. Patricia's the one that starts out with the English accent, and she's like, "Very good, you definitely dismantled him, didn't you?" And then the doctor shakes Patricia's faith, which is when she goes into hiding. Hedwig comes out for a second, and then Dennis takes over for the rest of it.
So David Dunn, she's like, here you go, David. You were in your train crash. We thought you were unharmed, but there's this gray cloud in your frontal lobe. You've got brain damage. And she's like, other people can lift as much weight as you, can't they? And you flicker to his son, not it doesn't flicker to his son in this scene, but you later on do see his son at the gym watching another dude lift a pretty similar amount of weight, and his son also is like, whoa, wait a minute. But then, she's like, other people can lift that amount of weight, you're not as strong as you think you are. And he's like, well, that's kind of crazy. What if I am not as strong as I think I am? And then she gets to Kevin, and she's like, hey, Kevin, you've got brain damage. Here's an MRI of your head. And the Beast doesn't exist. Other people have scaled walls. You've watched videos of the world's greatest wall scalers, haven't you? And you know that the shotgun shells were compromised, so they probably didn't hurt you as bad as a real shotgun shell would have.
And the bars you bent were super, super old. Yeah. I could do it with a wrench.
Yeah, 140 years old.
Still, I mean, even when she's like, I could do it with a wrench, I was like, well, yeah, but that's because there's no real friction on your hands. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't physically fatigue you as fast as
you get
gripping the two bars.
You get torque with it, too.
Yeah, there you go. That's the word I was meaning to say. But.
I don't know. But, I mean, if he's a super strong guy and she's just like a normal, young, petite woman, I don't think she's going to be able to do it with her bare hands.
If I were...
Well, no, that's the point. She had to use the wrench to do it.
If I were David at this point, I would have done one of two things. I would have either tried to break that chain that was chaining me to the ground.
God, I was waiting for him to do it.
I would have called her out on it, though. I would be like, if I'm really not as strong as you say I am, why am I chained? Why do you have me chained here? And I would have been like, and also, why did you say that I could have gotten out of it earlier with the police? I would have called her on it.
Both times they had David in the handcuffs. I just wanted him to, like, when he's walking down the hallway, surrounded by all those guards, I just wanted him to, like, snap them apart and continue to walk.
Well, that would have been too Superman of it.
I guess, but still. And then
because that happens in Man of Steel.
I know.
He does struggle.
Do we have to remember Man of Steel?
He does struggle to get the door down, though. I mean, not like really bad, but it takes him a few tries.
I think it's because he's doubting himself, and he's kind of thinking, I don't think I can do it, and so he doesn't use full force on the first one. But
I don't know. I didn't think of it that way.
Then definitely in that like interrogation scene, I so badly wanted him to just like move his hands up and snap out of those cuffs.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna. But she like freaks him out, and then after that point, then Glass finally starts doing his thing where they so what he does is he masterminds it so that he breaks out of his room a couple times, and the first time he does it, he intentionally turns on some like music in the hallway and then just hangs out so that he gets caught. The second time he does it, he goes and talks to the Beast and is like, or talks to Kevin and is like, "Hey Kevin, tomorrow night I'm gonna reveal the Beast, and then at that point I need you. I need your help." And Kevin's like, "All right, sweet." And then he goes into this computer room and learns about this new building opening up, the Philadelphia's tallest building, all this other random stuff. And then he wakes up in the middle of the night, and American Horror Story is like, "We caught you. I have footage. Remember, we saw you in the hallway." And we don't find out what she's referring to until much later, but she's like, "We got footage of you, and you've been duping us." And she like injects him with this stuff to knock him out, and then puts him in this machine that flashes back to an experience, a traumatic experience in his life where he's on like a spinning ride at a amusement park, and he gets all banged up in it, and so he's all broken at the end of it. What next? Something. We find out what his plan was, right?
And that it wasn't like a machine that forced him to.
Yeah, I don't know what they were trying to do. Oh, they were taking an MRI, right?
No, it was surgery.
No,
they were removing a chunk of his. It must have been some type of future surgery where they don't actually have to open up the head to remove the chunk of the brain. But what it was supposed to be doing was removing part of his frontal lobe, I think is what they keep saying.
Uh-huh.
The part of his frontal lobe that's being overstimulated and causing him to think that his life is like a comic book. So that's what that was.
But we find out why it doesn't work in a minute.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well that makes a little bit more sense because I didn't know what that thing he stole was. We find out, so this guard who's like his friend shows up, and well, there's a scene that comes before it where this other guard is like, no, a different guard is like, "I can't tell if you're actually knocked out or not." So he holds a flashlight above his legs and drops it, and I really thought that it was gonna hit his legs and break both of them, but he catches it before it happens. That's a different guard than the one who's his friend. They're two different, because the one who's his friend is the one who rolls up, and remember, his car is the one that pops, and
those are different.
It was different guard.
Okay.
That's the one with the beard.
Yeah.
There's the one with the beard.
One with the beard is the one that dropped it above his ankles.
No, that's the other one.
No.
It's the other one.
No.
I guarantee it's the other one. Because then they switch
Yep,
shifts.
they switch shifts. And that's why the guy with the flashlight says, "No one's going to find you until this guy gets on shift," because he's the only one who comes and checks on you.
He's like, so if I were to break your legs, nobody would see you until the other guy comes in.
And remember, the other guy comes in and starts chatting about like grape juice or whatever.
Yes.
And that's why he has time to do all his things. And then the next night at the same exact time, that's when he goes and gets that's when the guy comes in.
I guess. I don't know.
Anyways, he kills the guard that's his friend by slitting his throat and being like, "I have a piece of glass that I killed you with, and my name's Mr. Glass." And then it turns out that where he got that
he definitely
glass...
slits Beard Guy's throat.
Yes. That's what you said.
Yeah.
That's the one you guys call his friend?
No.
I didn't call him his friend.
Well, you just said that he slits his friend's throat. He slits Beard Guy's throat.
I don't know.
The one that I picture as his friend is the one that was very first in the room with him.
Yeah, the one that's nice to him.
He was like, "Oh, we had a way of doing things. Then she comes in and she changes it all." And he's like trying to help her drink from the straw.
Yeah.
That's the one that I picture as his friend.
Yeah, and then the one that reels him back in after he's listening to the music. And it's like, you can't be doing that.
And the other one's the one that's like, "You're too easy on him.
Yeah. Yeah.
You should drop a flashlight on his knees."
Yeah, and then he tries. But...
I'm so confused.
Yeah.
Anyways, one of the guards gets his throat slit, and Glass is like, "I got this piece of glass from that machine. You see, last night I erased all the footage. I went and stole this little device so that my brain wouldn't get messed up. I used it to kill you, and I also recorded..."
No, he didn't use the same piece to kill him.
Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't.
Didn't he? Remember, he takes this thing out,
it was
right?
from the painting.
Yeah, 3 paintings on the wall. He walks in and says, "Your paintings are crooked." But all the glass from those paintings has been shattered on the floor, and he says, it took me a while to find the right piece, and he had the one that was like long enough and sharp enough to slit a throat.
And then he picks up the little magnifying glass piece.
Yeah.
And then he puts it on the desk with a little note.
I thought the magnifying glass was he shattered the bottom layer of it and got the glass from there.
No.
Oh, okay.
Whatever. You're not gonna cut somebody's throat with a little tiny piece of glass.
He kills the guy, and then he goes and releases the beast, and then he goes to David and is like, hey, what's up, David? I'm going to go kill people at this Philadelphia Expo tomorrow with a big, tall building, and I'm going to blow it up in the process because it's got a whole bunch of cool chemicals in there. And then David is like, well, that sucks. And he's like, well, you know what else sucks is that I turned off the water, so you're going to have to stop us now in front of the whole world. So it's up to you to save lives now. It's on you. Mm-hmm. Then but the way he tricked the girls, so the way she's like, we saw you on the cameras, is because he recorded additional footage of him, like, doing wheelies.
Yeah, he turns it back on, so...
Yeah, doing, like, wheelies in the hallway, which I thought was funny. But then, then you're basically at your final battle where David breaks out, they're going through the tunnels, Glass and the Beast and them, and they're killing people in the process, and Glass gets his old suit back, which I thought looked very goofy in this movie.
Really?
I didn't think it looked goofy in Unbreakable. I think it looked good in Unbreakable, especially when he was walking around in it. But I thought when he wore it in this movie, it looked a little silly. I don't know why.
I thought it looked kind of cool.
I liked it.
Maybe it was the weird chain he had this time that said Mr. Glass. I don't remember that being Unbreakable.
It wasn't a chain. It was like a pin.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. But they get on out of there, and David comes and he tries to stop them, and then you get your big superhero fight between David and the Beast. Again, I thought most of this fight was pretty cool, especially when you see scenes of like the Beast sprinting across the lawn on all fours. I thought that was really cool, but I didn't like all the weird like POV hugging shots. Not a lot actually happens in the fight.
Hugging, they were choking each other.
It's whenever the Beast tries to break his back. And then, anytime they were choking each other.
He tried to break him in this fight?
Mm-hmm. He does it in both.
He only did that in the first one.
He does it in both.
Oh.
Yeah, the choking POV shots were also dumb, I thought. Not a lot happens in the fight as a whole. Like, as in terms of a fight scene, it's mostly just slamming one another against the truck. And then Glass is like, hey, you want to kill David? His weakness is water. And this is where I kind of figured out, they're not going to make it to the big building. He was not planning on actually going there. Because once he was like, kill David in the water, I was like, no, that will kill David. If he wanted to do something to like subdue him, he'd be like, go lock him in that crate or something. I didn't think he was going to be like, go kill him in the water. But the Beast is like, yeah, that sounds like a sick plan. And by the way, by this point, we have seen David locks a couple armed guards in the crate.
Yeah.
So that's what actually happens in the movie. Then David's son shows up and drops the first Shyamalan twist that I did not see coming.
I didn't either.
That was probably the biggest twist of the movie.
It was, this one was pretty epic.
Yeah, when he's like, hey, Mr. Beast. I just realized that that's a YouTuber, but he's like, hey, Mr.
I'm gonna cut it out.
Hey, Mr. Kevin. You wonder what happened to your dad? You wonder what train he took.
And they're doing research on, because what happens? They all like show up at the institute
at the same time, yeah. And then and then American Horror Story has to run off when she's talking to them, and that gives them a chance to like scroll through her computer and find out about everyone. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you ever wonder what happened to Kevin's dad? You think he really just left you even though he was so loving? That's not what happened. Guess what train he took? And then you flash back to Kevin's dad leaving Kevin at the train stop on the train. Kevin's dad sits down and the camera catches this girl and you follow her as she goes and picks a seat, and then it transitions perfectly into Unbreakable's opening train scene. I don't know how they did that.
And they
did use deleted scenes to fill in
old scenes
to fill in some gaps that like of what happened that we didn't get to see on Unbreakable. They did do that.
Yeah, there was a scene where he walks into his son's room and they're talking after he. Well, I assume it's right after he lifted all that weight.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know, it's like an emotional scene, but it's so good that they were able to put it in there.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's like 20-year-old footage in it. I mean, you could tell it was old, but it worked because it was like a flashback.
Right.
And I do not know how they did that smooth transition into the Unbreakable scene.
They flashed against like a seat or a suitcase, and the screen went black for like a split frame. The screen goes black as this thing passes the camera, and then when it picks back up, you're now in the old footage.
Yeah, but if you watch Unbreakable, you don't actually watch her walk up. That's not in the movie.
I know.
The movie opens with him with his head on the window. So where did they get that footage of that actress walking up?
It's just crazy editing.
That was new.
It was new?
Yeah.
I feel like it could have been old footage that they just now used.
I guess, but it goes...
I don't know, I didn't...
Then you pan outside of the train and you see Glass get off the train and walk past, Kevin and his mom. And then it's a big reveal that Kevin's dad died because Glass crashed the train.
Yep.
That was crazy. And then even Glass is like, well, don't tell him now. I'm just not ready yet.
It's not time.
And then the Beast grabs Glass's shoulder and like snaps his shoulder. That was pretty rough to watch.
Yeah.
And then David shows up and he's like,
you fight me first.
yeah. Yep. He's I don't remember what he says, but he hits him with some one-liner.
Yeah.
And then the Beast
just like backhands his chest and
like
charges
breaks
after.
all of Glass's
Did
ribs.
you hear the glass shattering noise when he broke his ribs?
I just thought it was bone shattering noise.
It sounded like glass. I thought it was supposed to be, because I don't think bones sound like that when they shatter.
Yeah, that's
because it sounded like glass hitting a ground. I think it was supposed to be like, look, it's Mr. Glass and it's glass broken when he breaks his ribs.
Could be. Then Glass gets basically killed because he gets smacked in the stomach and all his ribs break and he's like spitting up blood and then he falls out of his chair, which is also horrible to watch.
Yeah. Because he snaps like 10 more bones.
Yeah, he like lands straight on his knees and you hear those crunch.
I don't know what it is about it. Like, usually in movies, I'm pretty okay watching people get beat up. I don't know why this character in particular, I have such a problem watching him get hurt.
The scene in Unbreakable where he falls down the stairs, that was a bad one.
There's also the one in Glass when he's a kid and you see his arm broken.
That's the other one. That's the one I was about to say.
Yeah.
Is when you see his arm fractured into pieces. That was gross.
God.
Yeah, but then the Beast throws David into the water and goes and attacks him in the water. David breaks out of it,
but he's like
he's like,
can't do anything.
Because
choking out water.
They did change this. So in Unbreakable, water can kill David, and he's weaker when inside of water. In this movie, just being contacted by water in general will weaken him. So in Unbreakable, he is soaking wet when he kills the guy in the house. He just got out of the pool. He is still soaking wet when he goes and kills the killer. Right. In this movie, if we were playing by this movie's rules, he would not have been able to get up after those kids helped him out of the water, which I find very interesting. I guess they just needed a way to get him out of the fight.
Right.
But yeah,
he probably like swallowed a lot of water or whatever.
Yeah.
I think he would have swallowed equal amount in the pool.
I don't know. I mean,
he was in the pool
the
longer.
Time that I don't know.
Anyways, now he's out of the fight. It's basically just the Beast left.
And he starts heading for Glass to finish him off.
No, he says he's about to kill David, and then he's like, actually, hold on.
Finish this in front of the world.
Yeah, we'll finish this on that building in front of the world so that the world will learn that the Horde is real, that the Beast is real. Because that's kind of the Beast's motivation. Is that
superhumans are real.
Well, basically. The Beast doesn't really care about that. Because remember, the only way Glass got him on board with the plan was like, you want people to know you're real. You want... Yeah. He's like, you can prove it to your Horde and the world at the same time. So then he's like, all right, sweet. And that leads to, he's like, tries to run off, but Casey stops him and hugs him, which turns him back into Kevin. And then...
Well, he's trying not to turn back, because he's like still as the Beast, but like Kevin's trying to take back over. And
she like keeps saying, Kevin Wendell Crumb, so that he turns back. And then he does turn back just in time to get shot. I didn't see that coming.
I didn't either.
The military dude shoots him, and then you watch a whole bunch of the different personalities die, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which was pretty.
that was sad. Yeah, that
Even
was sad.
When Dennis came out and he's like, I switched sides and
yeah, he's like,
I don't want to see people die.
He's like, I shouldn't have listened to Patricia. She was wrong. Yeah.
And then he says the line
Make
about
sure to clean my pants.
Yeah, that was. This movie had some good comedy worked in throughout.
Yeah.
There was also like a few emotional moments, like
This
that
was,
one.
This was pretty emotional.
And,
this ending, I think this ending of the movie was very emotional. So you get he dies, in Casey's arms. Then Glass and his mom are talking, and his mom's like, "You said this was a limited edition. That you planned this all out. That this was the big showdown. How did you not know how it was gonna end?" And he's like, it's not a limited edition. It's an origin story. And at that point, I was like, "Oh, I figured out the twist.
That's when you figured it out.
At this point, I was like, I figured out the real Shyamalan twist." And then you see David Dunn, some guards drag him over to this puddle of water and stick his head in the puddle, and I was like, and they're about to kill him, and I was like, oh, here it comes. It's an origin story. They set it up earlier. David's son got a comic book about the son of superheroes. His son is about to be a superhero, and then David Dunn is killed, and his son does not get a superpower, and I just like sat back in my seat, so disappointed. That was pretty rough to watch too, watching David get killed like that.
And there was a flashback to Unbreakable when David admits to his son that he's like a superhero because he slides the newspaper to him. And he's like, "Yep, that was me." And like his son's all crying and stuff, whatever, because he was right and everything. Mm-hmm. There was some good flashbacks to Unbreakable.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty emotional. And then so David's killed. And then the actual Shyamalan twist that I had already figured out was that they weren't going to make it off, that Glass had set up all the cameras to record the fight. And then I thought he was going to be streaming it at that big building plaza, but it turns out that what actually happened is he sent it to Casey, David's son, I forget his name, and Joseph and his mom, so that all three of them have the footage and they can post it online and get people to find out about it.
Yep. I had figured that out from the second he went to the computer and he was like typing code.
Yeah.
I was like, he's just like,
yeah,
they're not going to the building. They're going to fight outside and he's just going to stream it and everyone's going to be like, oh, superheroes are real.
Right. I knew that he was going to use the cameras to prove that he was right. Pretty much right when she was like, nowhere you go in this facility, you will not be on camera because I know how smart you are. So I knew that was going to play into the ending of the movie. And I knew at the point when he's like, throw him in the water, I was like, okay, so they actually don't make it out of this facility. Like, this is where the movie ends.
There's also another stupid plot twist, which was that Sarah Paulson's character.
Oh, that was weird.
She was like part of a secret society that's been working to keep superheroes like under wraps and convince them that they're not actually superheroes.
They basically track down superheroes and kill them before the superheroes can be revealed.
Well, they don't always kill them. She says that she was like, I could have believed that you weren't a superhero and I would have left you alone.
They either have the option of being brainwashed, or they get killed. And so these guys, all three of them get killed. And then she has a panic attack when she realizes that the footage has been leaked to the world. And the movie ends with our characters meeting in what I believe is a train station, which I guess is a fitting place to end it.
Yep.
They meet in a train station and they watch as people learn of the superhero stuff.
And by characters, you mean Glass's mom, David's son, and Casey.
Yes.
Who all had the footage, leaked the footage, and then went to watch as the world found out that their individual was a superhero.
I would like to know what title and description and tags they put on that video to make it blow up so that everyone in the world knew about it, because that is, if I can find that viral formula, that will be great. That would not actually happen in real life. People would be like, oh, fake.
They'll point out all the fake parts where it was edited.
No one would have watched that footage, but it works for the movie.
Yeah.
Although, I did like it because when you're watching the final fight, it keeps cutting back to the security camera angles of the fight, And then in the
Oh,
final
yeah.
scene, you get to see that the cameras were recording, and that's the footage that's been leaked. Is the footage that we watched actually happen? So that's fun. That's the movie.
Alex also pointed out there was a Christmas tree in that.
There was, I
translation.
heard. So it's a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie. You can watch it during Christmas time.
I heard you point that out, and I was very happy. Got a movie picked out for the end of this year.
You know what else we heard the whole entire movie? That goddamn child.
Crying the whole fucking time.
Every time there was a soft,
Silent
emotional moment, there was the goddamn kid babbling.
I said this in the theater, I've never wanted to punt a baby before.
Yeah,
But
the
that
woman
kid-
behind me was like, I swear to God, I'm going to go down and slap them or something.
I
not
felt the
shut the
same
hell
way.
up.
I was gonna yell across the
I
room,
was
like,
too.
take
Yeah.
the fucking kid out.
I was
I
like,
seriously
if he
considered
cries,
it.
If he bursts out crying, I'm going to like just yell for them to take the kid out.
This
I-
wasn't even
everybody-
an infant baby though. There was a point where.
No, that
They
was a
had,
different- that was a
apparently they
different
had a
kid.
bunch of kids. Cause
Yeah,
Megan
they had
said,
two. They had a daughter who was the one that like kept running around in the door frame.
Yeah.
And then they
But
had
she was also making noise the whole.
they had the
fucking
baby.
time.
I was very, very close to actually yelling at them.
I
and
know. I've never done that before.
I have never
I
either.
was too. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
And
I didn't want to be that one guy though. I didn't want to look
Yeah.
like the one guy who's like just got
But
anger
what-
the
issues.
theater was thinking it.
Yeah,
let's
I
get
was.
real.
See, I thought about it, but then of course I'm like, no, I'm not going to be that guy. And then
Right.
the lady behind me said something, and I was like, you know what? I think everybody feels the same way because this is annoying. as
That
hell.
was. I've never. I should have got. We should have like reported it because we could have gotten our money back, and then we could have seen
Gone
another
see-
movie.
Alita.
Yes, and then we wouldn't have to pay for Alita.
But I mean, that whole like. First off, why would you take your infant children?
I
to
know. We
see
were talking about it,
Glass?
and we were like, dude, like, either be an adult, stay home with your kids, don't go out and see the new movie, or
Just
get a
consider-
goddamn babysitter.
Or
Yeah,
be
my
an
God.
adult and realize that your kid is being an asshole and take it out of the theater.
At the very least.
But don't be stupid in the first place. What kid is gonna want to sit through this? What,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
0 to 4-year-old is gonna want to see this. Hey, just
Yeah.
go see Littlefoot. I don't know what's out.
I don't know either, but get that kid out of the theater.
But,
Jesus.
and it was more than just that. There was also like dumbass Chad who sat in front of you. That there was like
I didn't even hear him.
he
but-
was,
You didn't
he
hear
was
him?
talking
No, I
and
wasn't-
laughing really loud at parts, and like
I
I'm
heard
not
him
gonna
laughing.
get pissed about you laughing. But when there's a part where
The
Kevin's like,
yeah.
what do we call you? And he turns around and he goes, you can call me. And the dude in the theater just yells, Mr. Glass! Like, oh, fucking really? Is that
and
what
then,
his
and then
character's name
he
is?
says it, and I turn to Kyle, I'm like, Glass, he said it!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus. I was like, how is this guy so stupid?
Yeah,
And
apparently-
he just yells it.
Apparently Dalton was pretty pissed because Megan said that he was saying stuff about the guy in front of us.
The guy in front of us was his problem.
Oh,
Dalton was pissed at the guy in front of us.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear what Dalton was saying.
I had a
but
problem with
apparently
3
Megan
other
was.
people that were not. The guy when he said Mr. Glass I was like, you're an idiot. But I didn't have that big of a problem with him. I had a problem with the guy who sat in front of me, like directly in front of me, but like 4 rows up, being on his phone the entire movie.
Jesus Christ.
I had a problem with him. I had a problem with that goddamn baby, and I had a problem with the 2 teen girls who sat behind, or not teens. They were probably like 12 at most.
Yeah.
Tween girls who like kept running up and down the stairs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they'd
like
run up
across
down
the-
and they'd go in and out of the theater.
This was one of the worst like movie audiences I've ever been.
There
to.
was another guy who
Yeah.
put his feet up on the chair in front of him, and I could see it in my like peripheral. It wasn't like blocking the screen, but it was illuminated by the screen, and I was like, just be an adult, Jesus Christ.
I should have
Put
known.
your foot on your knee or something. You don't have to set it on the chair in front of you, you cunt.
I should have known it was going to be a bad theater audience when the girl in front of me sat down and like smashed her chair back really fast, and her chair like crushed my foot somehow. I don't even know how it did it, but it crushed my foot. I was like, ah! I even turned to Kyle and I was like, that was my foot. And she just smashed my foot with her chair. How does that even happen in a movie theater? How did her chair go? They have it's like a concrete slab. How did her chair get over that? How did that happen?
You don't know where your foot was.
I had my foot.
Yeah, your foot's like down the crack.
I've just
He,
got.
shoved it down there.
Yeah,
and
my
he's
foot's like
oh,
this.
how did that happen?
My foot
She's
just
telling
like
people next to her, she's like, this fucking kid behind me keeps kicking my feet.
yeah.
my foot like bends like 90
No.
degrees the wrong direction. Yeah.
Weird movie movie-going experience.
I just had to mention that because there was just the silent moments that were so annoying.
I would have probably really actually liked this movie more without the theater audience.
Honestly,
because
any tension that was in this movie was kind of lost because these people were such
this
dicks.
kid was blah 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 blah.
Yeah, at that
Come
part
on.
when the kid legitimately sat there and started doing blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
blah.
it was like a 2-year-old kid that was babbling.
And there was the people who sat in front of me to the left. Those people were like, oh, is he trying to be funny? Is that a joke he's trying to make? What is that? Even they were chattering about this goddamn kid.
Ooh,
If this kid watches this podcast, you should jump off a bridge.
oh, all right, hold on. A little extreme.
I know. He's 10 years down the line. He's like, "Hey mom, did we go see Glass?" I vaguely remember being
15
very noisy.
years ago, did we go see the premiere of Glass?
I vaguely remember being very noisy in that theater.
And then it's the M. Night Shyamalan
That's
twist.
the twist. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this and you have children and you want to go see a premiere of a movie, keep them
leave
quiet
your kids at home.
or leave them at home.
Here's the thing.
Or don't go see it and see it when it comes out on DVD or something.
I
It's not that important.
give you all the power in the world to go see movies with your kids, as long as it's a movie for kids. We saw Incredibles 2. Some of the kids in that theater were a little rambunctious, but it's
That's
a kids
true.
movie.
I
I'm not
honestly- I don't-
blaming
I wasn't.
anybody.
I expected that in Incredibles 2, and also it didn't. It wasn't a movie that had tension where you wanted it to be quiet
Right.
and feel it.
I don't even care if you bring your kid to Glass as long as they don't.
Yeah, as long
Make a
as
lot
it's
of
not
noise.
an
Yeah.
idiot.
It's your
If
choice
you're
to
a
bring
good
into a movie
parent-
that they're not going to give a shit
It's like a
about.
dog. If you're a good dog owner, your dog's not going to poop on someone in someone else's house when you take it over there or something.
But then you bring it over, it does, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry. And
You're
you get mad at them because their
Yeah.
dog pooped in your house. They're like, well, it's not my fault. I can't help it.
It's not my bowels. The dog has bowels of its own. It just does what it needs to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's don't be a good parent and make sure your kid understands that when you're in a movie theater, it needs to shut the hell up.
That's why we feel bad for saying something, because you're like, oh, they can't help it. It's their kids. And you're like, no, you got to.
I don't feel bad at all. This
Yeah.
was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, if it's a baby, I get it. A baby will cry.
No,
I get it.
I don't.
But don't take your kid to the theater then.
Oh, okay, yeah, that I was
I'm not going to blame the baby for crying. I'm going to blame the parent for bringing the baby in. If it's a 3-year-old, I'm pretty sure this kid was, it's just bad parenting that you let your kid yell during the movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, good movie.
Good movie.
It was a
yeah,
good
I
movie,
agree.
though. Yep.
There was a few things I felt didn't work in this movie. Was there anything you guys didn't?
Other than,
Not
I
really.
didn't think the fight scenes were all that good because of the weird cinematography.
I still don't have a problem with that. The things that I disliked was, first off, I thought Split did such a fantastic job organically introducing you to the multiple personalities, where it was at times you'd be with a new one, and you'd start to get to know them, and then maybe it was explained through the therapist, the quirks about this personality. Whereas this movie was they'd flash the light and they'd be like, "What's up? My name is JT. I'm from the Bronx." And then they'd flip to another one and it's
no
like,
problem
"Hey,
with
my
it.
name is Philip and I like to watch movies." And it was that's not the best.
I don't have a problem with that at all.
That got me. Cause
I mean, it
was
kind of
like,
made
it's just not
sense because it
clever.
was an introduction. They were introducing themselves to Glass, and he was tampering with the lights, which would flicker a new personality.
I guess.
Now, wasn't it when it was that male nurse guy?
Yeah,
That was-
that was.
But he doesn't
boring.
introduce himself during that scene.
I don't think he does either.
Yeah, he doesn't introduce the personalities during that scene. He does flicker them, but he's not introducing them. That only happens when he's actually introducing himself to Glass.
I don't know.
I'm
think
pretty
so.
sure anyways.
I think so. I
Either
don't remember
way,
exactly.
it didn't feel as clever to me.
I don't have a problem.
And
with it.
then I didn't like the whole secret society stopping superheroes. I thought that was kind of dumb. It wasn't necessary. And half of me says I don't like the ending because it was kind of unjust to just murder the 3 characters right there. It didn't feel natural to me.
I think it fits the universe.
Well, yeah, but then
It does
I
now,
think it
but-
makes that secret society make sense.
Yeah.
I
I
thought
guess.
Which I personally didn't really have a problem with it because I felt like that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah,
that's
was
why they
their
were all
goal.
in the institute. I understand why you have a problem with it, but me personally, I'm like, it's
If-
part of the movie.
if I made the movie, I wouldn't have put the secret society in it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would have maybe just had the police show up and shoot Kevin and then try and kill David because they...
Okay, yes. So here's my ideal ending of this movie was...
They're killing David, and then his son turns out to be the last waterbender and saves his life.
Derek's like... Another thing about these movies is they did a good job making superpowers semi-realistic.
I know,
Derek,
but I
Derek
think...
keeps going, what if he shot gas out of his hands that could ignite? Like,
Jesus, that was a joke. I wasn't being serious about that.
What if he could bend water? What if he could just, like, lift water with his hand? What?
Well, and here it is with water. I think that with the water one, I don't know what his superpower should have been, but I think it should have been something to do with water. I think he should have had a water superpower.
Okay, well... I think that the ideal ending for me would have been Secret Society non-existent. They shoot Kevin, fine. That feels like a good way to end that character. Because picture, like, a part 4 to this series, and they bring him back. It's going to feel kind of, like, overdone at this point. Where it's like, oh, we're meeting more new personalities that he has, and what, the Horde's trying to take over again? So his character dying, it's very sympathetic. And you feel for the character, and it makes sense. I liked that. Mm-hmm. Them killing Dunn, I did not like. That wasn't totally necessary.
I think he should have survived.
It made for a good kind of impactful, emotional ending with his kid, and the whole train station scene I liked, but drowning him in that puddle, I was not into that. I think that if you didn't have the Secret Society and the police just kind of let off, and he rolls over, and they CPR him, and he's good... I'm happy with that. And then the footage leaks, and Dunn gets to be out and be a vigilante. And I think that you save Glass,
I think
and you put him behind
should
bars.
have died.
I don't think Glass should have died.
I think he should have died.
I think that because the way the movie went, it makes sense the way he died and why he died. But I think that an ideal ending would have been kind of like a Lex Luthor. You put him behind prison bars, and then there's still the like idea that they're adversaries. Even if you don't ever give me another movie, the idea that these two are still kind of like pit against each other, I like that idea leaving the movie.
I would have killed him, and I would have done it because that's kind of his... I mean, they even say it's like, it's a suicide mission. I like that. I really liked that his thing was like, I don't care if I live. All I care about is that I'm right, and I am right. And he says it when he's dying. He's like, I'm not a mistake, which echoes back to his last line in Unbreakable. That's like one of his last lines is, I was not a mistake.
I know.
I liked it. I thought it was a really good death for the character. I would have had David use his strength to push up out of the puddle, fight the guards, win, get away. Now he gets to be a vigilante again.
Yeah.
That's how I would have ended it.
See, I would have removed the Secret Society in total. Sarah Paulson's character would have actually believed that they weren't superheroes, and then she kind of like... She would have gone through like, oh, I guess they really do exist, kind of thing, which kind of lame.
Cliche.
Cliche, sure, but I don't really like the Secret Society, so I think it would have been better. And David Dunn gets to run off. Glass is behind bars, so they're still against each other, and Kevin still has an emotional death. That's the way I would have ended it. They ended it. I'm okay with the ending. I didn't absolutely love it. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but
when I posted on my Instagram story last night, I was like, going to see Glass, and then followed up with, what an ending. And I got quite a bit of people DMing me like, yeah, you hated it too? And I was like, no, I didn't hate it. I actually quite liked it.
Yeah.
I could understand why people would hate it.
I understand that too. And that's like, it's kind of the exact same situation I'm in with the Godzilla anime, where it's like, I get it. I get why people don't like it. But I really do like it. I think it works.
But and the point I'm making, I'm not saying that it's the worst ending I've ever seen. I don't think that it by any means ruins the movie. I give it like the ending. I give like a 50%. It's good for what it is. It could have been better in my opinion, but it doesn't make or break the movie. I don't hate the ending. I'm just not fully satisfied with it. That's what I'll say.
Okay. Fair enough. I didn't think that the whole we're going to reveal superheroes to the public thing was all that cool of a twist, especially when I think about like that video would have not have blown up.
But I'm still saying that the fact that Kevin's dad was on the train, Glass blew up.
That was crazy.
Quite the twist. That made it worth it.
That was.
The other two kind of lackluster twists, whatever.
And no one thought of that. No one predicted that. No one. Everyone knew that Split took place in this universe because that was the twist. Not one YouTube video that I watched theorized maybe Kevin's dad, the train that he disappears on, is this train. No one thought of that. That was good.
It was a good twist.
Oh, yeah.
It was good enough to make me pee in the pool.
Yep.
You peed in the pool?
Yep.
I also did. I think this one I'd put equal to Split. I think...
Equal to Split?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. For different reasons. Split's a better horror movie, but I liked this one better. This was more emotional. This movie, I think this was probably the most emotional superhero movie ever. I know, say what you will about Logan. I was thinking about it today, because I said it last night, which movie had a more emotional ending, this movie or Logan. And first of all, Logan is much more of a traditional superhero than this one is. It's a much more of a traditional action movie, even though that one is not a traditional superhero movie. But the ending to Logan didn't get me, because I expected it.
Oh, it got me. I mean, I expected it.
I knew he was going to die, but when I watched it, I did not... I was more sad in Deadpool 2 when I thought Deadpool died at the ending than I was in Logan when I thought Logan died, when Logan did die. Whereas in this movie, because I didn't see it coming, yeah, that was sad. That really hit. All three of them. I didn't expect a single one of them to die.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think for me, Kevin was the worst.
Yeah.
I think his was
He
too.
didn't even have control, you know?
Yep. And then he's like,
emotional.
I like being in the light. I don't know why I didn't realize this sooner.
Yeah, I'm
was
gonna hold
like-
it till the end. That was such a good line.
I was like, damn,
Yeah, I know.
that sucks.
So, how would you guys rank them? Because mine goes Unbreakable at number 3, Glass at number 2, and Split at number 1.
I think technically mine would be that same order, but I like them equal, I guess.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with Derek on that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Split and Glass pretty even?
Yeah, pretty equal.
Which is funny because
I like them for different reasons.
Yeah.
Like I like Glass better for different reasons and Split better for different reasons. So
it's funny because the internet as a whole is like Unbreakable number 1,
Yeah.
Split was okay, but it was only good because of the twist, and then you got
Which is a
Glass,
lie.
which just sucks. And I'm like, well, I don't think that's true at all.
Yeah,
and
that's-
we're
I've been seeing
we're
that
in the
so
complete
much.
opposite.
You have been seeing that too? I'm not the only one who's seen that.
Everyone's like, you're gonna be fans of Unbreakable and Split will be so disappointed with Glass, and I was like, no, I thought that was pretty solid. I
After
don't know what people are all pissy about.
Yeah.
After seeing Unbreakable, though, I will say that the movie is more of a sequel to Split than it is Unbreakable.
Oh yeah, because
I mean,
it takes place so soon after
Yeah, I know.
Split, so
I get that, but I guess for context, Kyle and I discussed this last night, which one it was more of a sequel to, and Kyle was like, well, because I hadn't seen Split until today. Unbreakable. Yep. No, that's right. I hadn't seen Unbreakable until today after I saw Split last night, but Kyle was like, once you watch Unbreakable, you realize that it's an even 50-50 split, but it is not. It is 100% more of a sequel to Split than Unbreakable.
I don't think so.
I'm very confident in
I think
saying
so
that.
because there's way more Beast.
Oh yeah, the movie is about Kevin and the Beast. It's not even Glass. It's not about Glass at all. It's more of David's movie than it is Glass's movie, or should I say Brian's movie?
I never said it was.
It's more
about
of Brian
Glass,
Dunn's movie than it is about anyone else.
Well, if it's more about I don't know. I think that
I think it's Split.
I felt a pretty even mixture. I think that because they used a lot of like flashback and reintegrations from Unbreakable, you saw the exact shot of Glass walking off the train. You saw the exact shots of Dunn on the train.
I don't think
You did give flashbacks to Split though too.
I don't think you needed the flashbacks to Split because Split didn't come out 20 years ago.
No, I know, but
So-
I still felt like there was a pretty even mixture there, and I thought that Dunn's son got a pretty decent amount of screen time, and I felt like it was a good sequel to both, and I thought that it wasn't more favorable to one movie than the other, so that was my feelings on it.
The fourth member of the podcast just showed up. The owl.
Should I do the Dalton catchphrase?
Houdini.
Howdy freaking doody.
Oh my god. You screamed it like 3 times across the theater when you guys walked
It was
in.
so awkward.
Oh my god.
So awkward.
Jesus Christ.
I felt so uncomfortable to go and sit with that group.
I felt uncomfortable because I was already sitting down.
Yeah, I
What are
know.
you gonna do? Get back up?
Yeah, Kyle and I said it during the trailers. We were like, this theater is predetermined to hate us because we were being kind of noisy during the trailers. And then the
Yeah.
movie started, and
Guess what? We were the least.
Yep, I don't think a single person in the theater went, that noisy group during the trailers, they ruined the whole theater. They ruined the whole movie for me.
Right.
They probably didn't even remember we were talking during the trailers.
probably.
I don't know. Honestly, we might be part of the story that they tell where they're like, it was just the weirdest experience.
It
You
started
had a
off
bunch
with
of
these-
kids being real loud during the trailers, and then a baby cried the whole time.
Yeah,
We
but
might be
like,
some part of
we
that
shut
story.
up when the movie started. I don't think I said like a single word the whole movie other than
We
when I was
always
like...
whisper when we're in the movie.
Yeah.
We'll lean over. To
I
each
leaned
other.
over to Kyle at one point and was like, wait, did David's wife die at the end of Unbreakable? Or is that new for this movie? Because the wife is dead. So that was the only thing that I think I mentioned in the movie.
There were a few scenes. Like, you kept asking me, was that weightlifting scene really in Unbreakable?
Oh,
I
that's
thought it was
right.
just a deleted scene.
Well, there-
and you
there
asked me
is
that,
a
like,
deleted...
fucking times.
Well, because... There, well, I was asking you how much of the weight scene was in the movie. There is a deleted scene from that weight scene when he puts a little more weight on there. But, anyways, we were quiet during this movie,
Yes.
as we are during every movie, because we're not a bunch of idiots. We can talk during the trailers because, like, they're on
trailers,
YouTube.
yeah,
Look it up
who
if you're
cares?
really like, I need to see the trailer. It's on YouTube.
They ruined it. It was the first time I'd ever seen the Alita Battle Trainer.
Battle
Alita
Angel.
Battle
Angel trailer.
Battle
I
Trainer.
haven't seen that trailer yet.
Yeah, I know.
The second one.
I've seen that one like 7 times.
Yeah.
I've only
so
seen
have
that
I.
the first one that day.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's hot. But yeah.
Anyways, it was awkward when
Dalton
yelled howdy doody. And especially because it's like another one of those classic Dalton moments where it's not his catchphrase, he just stole it from someone else.
Final thing to say about these movies: no after credit scenes. Any of them, you don't feel the need to stick around.
Yeah, we stayed. We were 99% sure there was not one, but we stayed anyway because we discussed whether there was one or not.
so long that the trailers were over by the time, or the credits were over by the time we were done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Actual last thing to say: this is a franchise. Is this the best franchise? And it's
Compared to
against
Gremlins. Compared to Gremlins? No.
No, compared to Gremlins, Gremlins is better.
I liked Gremlins more.
Really?
Yeah.
You like Gremlins more?
No.
Oh, I was going to say no too.
What?
How do you like Gremlins better than this?
How do you not?
This is also a Christmas franchise. Remember?
Okay.
So is Gremlins.
It's Gremlins.
I think that overall, I mean, there's so much to this. It's so good. It's so
Yeah.
clever, and
What twists do you get in Gremlins?
like, I mean, Gremlins is more fun for sure, and it's kind of easier to watch. You know, you sit down, you watch two movies. They're both kind of quirky and fun. I don't know. I just.
What about the twist where that girl's dad died in the chimney?
Oh my god.
This was just so unique and so clever, and you really feel it. It's got so much emotion to it that, yeah, I'd say that this trilogy is the greatest franchise ever.
No.
Hallelujah.
How come I always get outvoted on this show?
You don't. Last time Alex got outvoted.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We picked
Gremlins.
Gremlins, but
What was it up against? I forget now.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
And then maybe something else. I can't remember what all we watched, but
Oh, the DCEU also. That's right.
It's a democracy. Sorry.
yeah, well,
Predator,
Yeah,
best franchise ever.
He's only upset when it doesn't go in his favor, that commie bastard.
exactly. Yeah. That's gonna do it for this week's podcast. What did you guys think of the Shyamalan twists?
Yeah, I was gonna say, which Shyamalan twist in this trilogy was your favorite?
Which what'd you guys think of Glass? What'd you guys think of this franchise as a whole? What do you guys think about crying babies? How do we handle crying babies in theaters? Is it acceptable to punt them if they are crying during the movie? Can we get
The real
legal
question
precedents stating that yes, you may punt a crying baby.
Would Brian Dunn approve of punting a baby, given that he's in the public eye as CEO of Best Buy?
He's not the CEO of Best Buy.
Click on this side of the screen if you want to hear last week's episode of the podcast where we talked about Mandy and Upgrade. Click this side of the screen if you want to see the playlist of all the episodes of the podcast. Alex, what's the button in the middle?
And subscribe.
You subscribe to Brian Dunn.
Subscribe to the official
Brian Dunn podcast. The chief executive officer of Best Buy until April 2012.
Oh, yes.
Not anymore. He's retired.
Nice.
Dead or something. I don't know.
All right. Thanks for watching.